This is your latest Manchester United transfer news. Hope you're all feeling well. Lots to get into as always. Edison deal 100% off. Big update from Romano. Little bit of back and forth last night, but we did predict it was off, and we'll get into that, of course. And where are Man United going to go next? The Brazilian obsession continues. Joao Gomez now the favourite for Man United to go for. So we've gone from Edison to Santos to Joao Gomez. What is it about, B-Tech Casemiro's that United feel are the replacement for Casemiro? I mean, there is a world outside Brazil. There's plenty of other midfielders we could be going for. And look, I think the Santos deal becomes better if we don't sign Edison or Joao Gomez. I think the Santos deal becomes better if you go and buy Kone and Scott, or if you go and buy Enmicha and Scott. I think if you avoid, the problem for me was Santos and Edison were two similar profiles. Well, I think Joao Gomez becomes immediately that. So I think if we sign Joao Gomez, it becomes... I actually think that Joao Gomez, Edison, there's not a lot of difference. So all these people celebrating the Edison deal being off, I think it's because they didn't want Edison and they didn't like the profile of that with Santos. But if we go and get Joao Gomez, it's literally, we may as well have signed Edison, in my opinion. He's just a little bit younger, and you can argue about who's better. Kone remains on the menu. We'll delve into that as well, and a few other bits this morning. But BJ Obson says Edison's still going to happen. Okay, look, we had the Pratt last night on the show, who, well, the less said the better. It was a long day. But this is the latest from Fabrizio Romano. So this is his words. You may not have seen them this morning. United Stand's the place to be on a morning show. We get everything, not little bits. So Fabrizio Romano, late last night. Many of you are telling me on Edison that United sources are saying that the deal is not off. They can say whatever they want. Everyone has their information. I respect United and other journalists. What I know is, exclusively, Atalanta received a communication tonight that the deal is not going to happen. I don't know when it will be made clear on every side of the story, but that is what I'm hearing. So Atalanta received a communication to say that the deal was off. Romano is saying that other journalists and Man United, I respect them, but that is not what Atalanta are saying. Atalanta have been communicated that the deal is off. Okay. Joao Gomez, Manchester United. There are a few problems with Joao Gomez, in my opinion. I'm not going to look at what people are voting at. There's a few problems with Joao Gomez. One of the big problems is, and I don't know whether I agree with this, I've seen a few people saying about Joao Gomez, we shouldn't go anywhere near it. Atletico Madrid pulled out of Edison. We don't really know why. Edison, obviously, we're not going to sign. Atletico Madrid pivot to Joao Gomez, and now they're pulling out, and United are going to go there. I mean, look, I think we're Everton. Maybe we're Atletico Madrid. I mean, what is it about Atletico Madrid's transfer policy that we like going for their sloppy seconds? I mean, surely we can't do that twice. Edison would be an Atletico Madrid player if they hadn't pulled out in January, and Joao Gomez would be an Atletico Madrid player if they hadn't pulled out last week. So why are we following Atletico Madrid's sloppy seconds? I don't get it. So that's a bit of a concern, and some people have expressed that on social media. Another concern I've seen on social media is, and I think it's a little bit more valid than the last one, is that it's George Mendes. George Mendes is his agent. Now, some people are saying get fucked. George Mendes absolutely screwed us over on the West Ham deal. And whilst he helped us on the Agate and Yoro deal, they've not worked out particularly well. And Matheus Fernandes was a player that United really, really wanted. And George Mendes facilitated the move to Tottenham. So screw him, basically, some people are saying. What I would say to that is, don't let emotions get in the way of business.
And Manchester United's chase for Manu Kone. Several different media outlets over in Italy have been reporting this lunchtime that Manchester United are ready to bid and the price has been set. We'll get into the details of this alongside some extra information as to why Roma might actually be forced to sell Kone that I didn't pick up on before, but it's been reported this lunchtime on this Saturday. So it is interesting now how quickly Manchester United move, of course, on to any potential target after what's happened with Edison. United now needing 2 midfielders, as we know, and Kone has been reported more than any other at the moment in this last week as a potential target for Manchester United. These reports have been going on now for 3 to 4 days. The latest that we've got coming out from Corriere dello Sport, Gazzetta dello Sport, Sports Witness, Sports Media Set as well. There's quite a few different broadcasters and publications and outlets from Italy talking on this now. Quickly, just to update you on the financial situation at Roma and why they might actually have to sell Kone. Now, there are financial difficulties reportedly happening at Roma they have to abide by for UEFA. Now, they haven't had to before, it would seem, because, look, this is the first time that Roma have been back into the Champions League in a long time. And obviously, the thought with the Champions League money being able to be calculated into their finances, they might be able to get away with this. Now, I don't know the full ins and outs of the financial situation with Roma at the moment, but there are reports today going around that there is some kind of financial difficulty that they have to obviously get around this summer, and selling Kone could actually be the way out of that for the Roma club. So when you look at that, and then you look at the latest reports that have come out also this lunchtime around Manchester United ready to bid for Kone. Now, we've heard different prices thrown around. We've heard one price, which is that Roma won't come to the table and negotiate. They won't accept anything less than £42.5 million sterling. That's around about 50 million euros. We're getting other stories now coming out that Roma have set the price tag at 55 million euros for the French international. Now, of course, we've said this before, and the warning signs about this transfer for Manchester United would have come around the fact that he's still competing in the World Cup, and obviously his value could go up if France obviously win the World Cup. Do United move now? Is it important that United get in this weekend, perhaps, or the next couple of days and make a bid? If Tchouaméni comes back into that French side, then obviously we're looking at Kone going back to the bench. But 55 million euros is the latest that's being quoted. That coming from Gazzetta over in Italy, and that's the latest from their side of things. 55 million euros is still very, very cheap compared to what Manchester United were priced for certain players within the Premier League. This is a full-blown international playing at the highest level right now for France, with comfortable minutes under his belt in the tough league in Serie A, similar to what Edison was. But obviously, this is a guy that's being picked in the best team in the world at the moment. And he is really holding his own in place of Tchouaméni, who Manchester United's original target was. So when you look at the price, I don't think that's going to put Manchester United off one bit. We're waiting for the details of the Edison fallout to come out and how Manchester United get around that. But you only have to do the math that's there for everybody to see. Of course, Kone is going to cost more than what Edison was, so it's not like it's just the same transfer all over again. Manchester United being quoted 55 million euros. It's pretty much 10 million more than what we were going to be paying for Edison, but a lot of people would see him as a better player. Both have got their own injury sort of issues that have been brought up. The big one, obviously, with Edison is that knee injury, which stopped the move happening in the first place to Manchester United. A few people have picked up the hamstring issues that Manu Kone picked up last season. The previous 2 seasons, pretty clean. A few problems last season, though, with that hamstring for him. So that's something that Manchester United have looked into as well. They'll be putting this all together and rounding it up to see where the price is going to be at. If it is no less than 42 million, Manchester United, I don't think, when you look at the age of the player, 25, the experience, the way he plays, the versatility of his midfield positions that he can also play, I think that benefits Manchester United. If you're looking to bring 3 midfielders in and he's going to be part of a rotation, then you can clearly see why Manchester United would go for this. So I expect bids in, I would say, from probably around the 43 million mark for United. Like with Andre Santos, United went in and just accepted the price that Chelsea put on to Andre Santos' head. So that, again, I think if United agree with the valuation of the player, this has always been said, if United are happy with the valuation of a particular player, they will go in and buy that player. And this, I think, is where Manchester United will probably be at with Kone. He is more than affordable for Manchester United. And, of course, I think now, when you look at Edison being off the table, I think Manchester United will feel comfortable in moving this forward as quickly as possible. And then they've got their 2 midfielders in again, like we did before. We can move swiftly on to the 3rd midfielder, which is expected to be a Premier League player at this point now, because obviously the value that Manchester United have on the third midfielder is seen in the media circles as the big signing, the £80 million signing, someone like that Manchester United are willing to go for. There is no one abroad at the moment that carries that price tag. So the extra squad player looks like that is going to be sourced, as it was with Edison, from overseas. And again, funnily enough, from Italy, of course, because Edison was from Atalanta and Kone from Roma. I think this is what Manchester United are doing, the cheaper option, and someone integrated into the Premier League, surrounded by Premier League midfielders already, and the likes of Manu, Santos now, probably one more, like we said, with the big £80 million buy. You've still got Mason Mount there. Obviously, you're surrounded then by that backline of Manchester United, which is going to be the same as it was last year, and the experience that they've got. And obviously the likes of Bruno Fernandes and the other forwards as well. It's easier to integrate when you've got a side that's actually performing well and you're bringing in a bit more experience of the Premier League alongside him, especially when you've got a big midfield rebuild to do. When you need one player, it's easy to bring that one player in and be specific. But when you need to bring three in one window for one area of the pitch, incredibly difficult. And I think this has obviously played a part in Manchester United struggling this transfer window as well. And I think this is why Edison has been benched. I think this is obviously Manchester United having time to rethink. And it was something I was going to say earlier on, actually, in the video we did on Edison this morning. I think if Edison wasn't at the World Cup or didn't get called up to the Brazil squad, I think United would have him in and done. I think it would already be over. I just think United have had a chance to rethink, and they know that this is a massive decision in how Manchester United are going to work. I think Fernandes has definitely played a part in not signing, and I think they've rethought the whole Edison move, and now they're looking at Manu Kone as an option. There's obviously the story on Joao Gomez as well, which we haven't had any extra updates on yet, but the story from Italy is pushing the Kone move, and this, I think, could be the one that develops very, very quickly this week now as we go through into this new week and the last week of obviously the World Cup. We'll see if France are still in the World Cup with that semi-final obviously against Spain coming up this week. And then I think it'll all start to kick off. But the price is more than comfortable enough for Manchester United. Will they try at this stage of the window to try and chip that down? I think they'll just go straight in and try and comfortably get this deal done. Kone is only on 80 plus grand, I think, wages at the moment at Roma. So he will fit straight into Manchester United's wage structure as well. So this, I think, is an easy one for United to get done. And all the signs at the moment, and we'll see if anything else develops, and I'll bring it to you if anything does. All the signs at the moment are that United are ready to go. United are ready to push onto their next move in midfield, and that is going to be Manu Kone. Let me know what you think. Get into the comments below, everybody. Let me know if you think this is the right move to go out of everyone else that's available right now. Of course, pop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button here on Forever United TV, and I'll see you all later on with more updates.